So we saw last time how after the um, autumn and the rainy season was about to begin, and something happened which provoked the king of heaven, Indra, so much so that he became so upset with the residents of Vrindavan, he wanted to kill them all, destroy all of them. Perhaps more than the anger of any of the monsters and demons and evil wizards we've been hearing of. Most of them just wanted to kill Krishna. But Indra was so angry, and he was not a follower of Kamsa. He was not um, against Krishna, but something drove him to terrible, such a terrible place that he wanted to kill everybody. And we'll see why that happened. One day, just before the onset of the rainy season, Krishna observed that his father was preparing, and all the cowherd men, they were preparing for a big sacrifice. Many offerings, brahmanas were being called from different villages. So much gold and jewels and everything was being assembled. There was a festive atmosphere of some big ritual and sacrifice about to be performed. And little curious Krishna was actually the center of everything. Very sweetly walked up to his father one day in front of all the elders, and he asked, "My dear father, what are you doing? Why are you all so busy?" And little Krishna was 7 years old at that time, and he acted very, very like an adult. And all the men laughed, and they were so pleased to see his voice trying to act and speak like an adult of what is your motive behind what you're doing. And they were so smiling sweetly that what does this boy know of these, you know, rituals and sacrifices and our motivations and inspirations in life? So Nanda Baba sat down patiently and explained, well, we get rain. From rain we get grain, we get grass, and that's how the cows eat grass, and that's how they can give tasty milk, and that's how you get your butter. So we have to thank Indra for sending the rain, and so we are doing a sacrifice to make him happy. Does that make sense? And so Krishna replied, no, it does not make sense. And Nanda Baba and everyone was surprised, and they laughed again. Little boy, you won't understand these things. And then Krishna began to speak so eloquently, and he started telling them, "My dear father and dear cowherdmen, do not waste your precious time in worshipping Indra or in any of these things. Because after all, everything is destined. Everything is in your destiny anyway. According to the karma you do, you will get the result. Everyone is below the law of karma. You may say that the Indra gives rain. Someone may say the clouds give rain. Someone says that the rivers give the water. Whatever it is, ultimately, if I work for it, I will get my result. And Krishna at that time purposely preached the atheistic karma mimamsa philosophy, which is a belief in reincarnation without a belief in a supreme controller. And just so that he had a very special purpose in mind. And his special purpose was it came from such a compassionate place. Indra had become very extremely proud of his position and extremely illusioned into thinking that he was the supreme controller. And Krishna did not want to crush that pride. Very interesting, the Bhagavatam explains that Krishna recognized that in a devotee's heart, which is full of goodness, which is full of good qualities, which is such an auspicious place for anyone to reside in that place, when sometimes things like pride creep in, it it actually is painful for the person. It's not a good feeling. And to help Indra get rid of that feeling and get back into his sattva, get back into his mode of goodness, his devotion, his wonderful, auspicious, beautiful heart, Krishna wanted to do something to remove that pride. That's how Krishna saw this. Krishna was not thinking, oh, this man has become too proud. He thinks, I'm not the supreme controller. He is, okay, let's see. It wasn't a battle of egos. It was not a battle of my subordinate thinks he's the boss. I'll show him who's the boss. It was not at all. It was Krishna's compassion on his dear devotee, Indra. And so he had planned this way. And whatever Krishna does, a million more things happen from his he wishes to do one thing, but there are millions of more purposes which get solved in that one thing, activity or thought or whatever he does. And so he completely convinced the coward men there is no use of doing this sacrifice. He said, but we should all worship Govardhan Hill. That's where the rivers come from. That's where the cows go for grazing. That's how our fields get nourished. That's where we find our jewels and gold, and that's where the herbs and the creepers, that's our everything. Govardhan Hill, not this Indra. I don't know, maybe y'all are confused, but I am convinced. If we worship Govardhan Hill, we will get everything we need for a prosperous, happy, healthy life. And Krishna's words were so convincing. There was no doubt, no question in anybody's minds. And at that time, there were big brahmanas and learned scholars and elderly people. And they were completely convinced. And with all their enthusiasm and happiness, they said, yes, let's worship Govardhan Hill. And then they wondered, how do we worship Govardhan Hill? We've never heard of this. And Krishna, how do we worship Govardhan Hill? And Krishna said, all right, prepare unlimited offerings of food of all types and juices and liquids and drinks and hot food and cold food and all the cuisines of the entire universe, and prepare gigantic offerings of ghee and gold. Give cows in charity to the brahmanas. Give all clothes, give everything, and this you should offer everything. In fact, offer your very lives to Govardhan Hill. Without thinking twice about it, because Krishna said it and because Krishna will be pleased, all the coward men and women got completely busy in doing just that. And with all their energy and happiness and joy, they dove right into this beautiful preparation. And Krishna was overseeing all these preparations going on. And he was directing them and doing this and doing that. And then finally, he arranged at a place in Govardhan all these offerings to be kept, and all the brahmanas to be fed, and all the cows to be given in charity. And then he said, now let's go on a gigantic procession around Govardhan Hill. The first Govardhan Yatra, Parikrama, circumambulation ever. And everyone was so excited. It was the most beautiful family picnic they'd ever experienced. They loaded their carts. The old people sat on the carts. The young people ran, the children on their shoulders. The cows ran free, and all the animals and all the villagers of Vrindavan and so many more villages joined them. It became a huge procession. And everyone was so excited and so happy, and they were just so grateful for Govardhan Hill. And while all this was going on, Krishna was so pleased and he was so happy and smiling. And suddenly, in front of everybody's eyes, a huge form manifested on Govardhan Hill. And everyone said, hey, look, it's Govardhan, it's Govardhan. And it was Krishna himself. They didn't recognize him as Krishna. They thought this is Govardhan, although they looked exactly the same and looked so similar. And then Krishna, as the little boy said, look, Govardhan has come. He is pleased with our offerings. And Krishna as Govardhan started eating all the offerings, honoring everything. And he manifests thousands and tens and thousands, hundreds and thousands, millions of arms going everywhere, eating everything and everything and everything. And everyone was so pleased at this beautiful sight. And even during this entire episode, there are thousands of pastimes which are taking place, but only unfortunately due to our time consideration, I'm not speaking all the beautiful details of this pastime. and we're just sticking to the Bhagavatam script. And then when the Govardhan Hill, Krishna was so pleased, and all the coward men and women were so pleased, and immediately they could feel such deep satisfaction in their hearts, and they were convinced this has been the best thing we've ever done in our lives. Why did we at all worship Indra ever? And we are assured of the most happy and prosperous life we'll ever have ahead because we have pleased Govardhan Hill. And in this celebratory mood, and Govardhan, being pleased by Krishna's touch and Krishna's words and Krishna's appreciation, he became so light and even more effulgent and beautiful. And all the, just like when we are happy and excited, our hair stand on end, all the grass and the trees, and there was effulgence coming out of Govardhan Hill, and he seemed to be about to take off and fly in the air out of ecstasy. And when all this happiness was going on in Vrindavan, there was one person who was enraged beyond imagination. And this was Indra, the king of heaven, the king of rain, whose weapon was the thunderbolt, who had at his will the power to destroy the entire universe. And when you have a lot of power and a lot of control, but you can't control your emotions, then you are going to cause chaos and destruction. And that's all the uncontrolled emotion is going to do. And that's exactly what happened to Indra. He was furious. He could not. And let's not take this. Just imagine Indra is the king of heaven. Everyone in the entire universe is subordinate, paying respects, giving sacrifice. That's his status. That's what he's identified with. That's his source of pride, happiness, joy, sustenance, everything. And suddenly there is news which reaches everyone's ears. There's one little village in Vrindavan who don't care for Indra anymore. He was furious. It was unbelievable. And he shouted out loudly to all his ministers and associates and all the other demigods, who is this arrogant, talkative little boy? Who does he think he is? For his impudence, and because these foolish villagers listen to him, they will pay with their lives. I will eradicate the existence of this pathetic village from the face of the earth. Nothing will be left of it. Nobody will even know it ever existed. And he summoned a particular set of clouds which are never supposed to be summoned before the end of the millennium. Before the end of the day of Brahma, they're summoned to destroy three-fourths of the universe. And then the universe restarts the next day of Brahma. And untimely, Indra called upon these Samvartak clouds of universal destructive rain, who within minutes could flood the universe. What to speak of a little village in Vrindavan? And he called them. And being called untimely, they were very afraid and they were actually skeptical that we aren't supposed to be called. We aren't supposed to do anything now. We aren't supposed to disturb the peace of the universal affairs. Why is he summoning us? And they appeared. And Indra ordered them, I order you, go and destroy this village completely. And there was hesitation. They didn't want to do it, but their lord and master and boss was ordering them to do it. And he said, I will come behind you and I will assist you with my thunderbolt. I will break that hill Govardhan into powder and dust, and you wash everything away forever. Not a trace should remain. And with that intention, suddenly the entire land of Vrindavan, from a beautiful, bright, effulgent, happy day, clouds as dark and black as a void, completely devoid of light, started coming into the sky, and everything became pitch dark. You could not even see your hand. And the cows started mooing, and everyone was wandering, and they're catching their children, and there was chaos, and everything was so dark. And then suddenly, without any warning, there was loud lightning, thunder, and rain. And it wasn't just rain, it was hailstones, huge meteor like hailstones falling from the sky, starting to destroy everything. And the rain was as thick as pillars falling, huge pillars of rain, not drops of rain, and starting to flood the entire village. And within minutes, the waters were rising, and everyone in fear of their life, but knowing that they had only one shelter and knowing that they would be sheltered, having full faith in being protected, they turned to the only person they knew in their life. Krishna, Krishna, save us. And Krishna smiled. And Krishna thought, what, what a wonderful opportunity to spend some time together with everyone. Every night, every morning, I play with the cowherd boys. In the daytime, every morning I'm with my parents. In the daytime, I'm with the cowherd boys. At night, I'm with the gopis. And then I sleep by myself. And each and every one of those groups, they almost lose their life when I leave them just for a few hours before meeting the next day at the same time. And I'm never able to satisfy all of them together. But today, maybe for once, everyone together, we'll all be together and we will exchange our love and devotion for each other. And then Krishna smiled and he said, my dear Brajavasis, Nanda, Yashoda, my dear friends, the gopis, cows, everyone, listen to me. This Govardhan hill, you think this Govardhan cannot protect us from this little dew, this little humidity which is increased, these little drops falling from the sky? Come, let's take shelter of Govardhan. And then Krishna went and he picked up the hill and he called everyone inside, come, come. And this huge hill went into the air. You can't imagine the sight of a hill which was huge. Govardhan at that time was miles wide. Suddenly picked up, huge thing going in the air, and all the debris and all the rocks from the sides, as they fell, they created a beautiful barrier which stopped the water from coming in. And although the scene was so uh, amazing, yet for Krishna, it was as simple as a child plucking a mushroom. And Krishna picked up this hill and put it on his hand. And then he invited everyone inside, and they all came in. And for the first time, they saw little Krishna standing, 7-year-old child holding it up. They were so pleased, and they surrounded him. And for 7 days and 7 nights, Krishna stood there in the center, while the entire village of Vrindavan and all the animals and everyone was there, sheltered by Krishna. And each and every one of them started enjoying an individual, unique, non-stop. Now they didn't have to go home. Krishna didn't have to sleep. Krishna didn't have to go to his parents. Everyone was there together. And finally, even their desires were completely satisfied. And Krishna simultaneously reciprocated with each of them in the most individual and unique way. To his parents, he reciprocated their anxiety. And Yashoda kept coming and crying and said, at least eat something, your arm must be paining. To his friends who were elder to him, and they said, should we help you? And Krishna said, thank you, please help me. And they felt pride and actually we are holding it up. And to his younger friends, he was joking with them, laughing at them. And to the gopis, he was looking at them very lovingly, and they were becoming shy. And to the cows, he was caressing them, and they were licking him. And so the entire village, and actually within minutes of coming under this hill, they even forgot what's happening outside. They even forgot the reason why we are here is actually a terrible disaster. Absolutely forgot everything. And in fact, outside, the Govardhan hill became so empowered, he was just floating more and more. And Indra could not even move a blade of grass from top of the hill. And while he was doing this, after a few days, some Vartak were exhausted. The clouds which drowned the entire universe lost their power and potency and went away. And for the last couple of days, last day, few hours, it was just Indra trying his with all his strength with this thunderbolt, still trying to break this hill. And not even a blade of grass could move. In fact, even the animals, there were animals on the hill. There were creatures as delicate as butterflies who didn't even know what's going on, because Krishna had decided to pick up the hill and protect each and every ant of Vrindavan. And finally, after 7 days and 7 nights, the time came for the hill to be put down. And now it was the other way around. None of the Brajvasis wanted to leave. They just wanted to be there surrounding Krishna. And Krishna urged them, let's go. Now it's time to leave. And as they came out, the sky was clear again. They didn't even remember what had happened. They were just so absorbed. And for them, 7 days, 7 nights, for some of them passed like 7 minutes because they were so happy. In happiness, time passes very quickly. And then finally, Krishna put this big, beautiful hill down. And when that happened, Indra finally had learned his lesson. What a big mistake I made. And with all embarrassment and all completely, he came back to his senses and he realized, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From him, I get the power to control and do what I do. And with all humility, with the assistance of Mother Surabhi, a cow from a planet called Goloka in this material universe, he comes and he begs forgiveness from Krishna and offers him prayers and, please forgive me. How could I get so blinded by my pride? Thank you for correcting me. Thank you for being really concerned about me, that you corrected me. And then Krishna blessed him and said, all right, now you go back. Now you go back and be Indra and don't be proud again. Do your duty nicely, maintain the universal affairs, but always know that you're not the supreme controller. Give up this pride of thinking you control everything, that you are the Lord and Master. You are the center of the universe. Give this up and you will always be happy. Always remember me and know that whatever is happening in your life is by my grace and by my power and by my empowerment. And then all the demigods came together and they worshipped Krishna. And there was a big Abhishek and a bathing ceremony. All Surabhi cow gave her milk, and all the demigods got so many offerings and so much for Krishna. And then finally, everyone left. And then all the villagers returned to the village. And from that day, they only worshipped Govardhan Hill and so often circumambulated Govardhan Hill. And thus they lived happily ever after. But one day, something happened terrible again, which had perhaps rarely happened before, almost never happened before, which we will see next time. Thank you very much. May you have a wonderful night with this story in your heart. And may this story always be in our hearts to attract us. And by hearing this story, Krishna says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. And the purpose of these pastimes is that we get attracted to his lotus feet, to his love and devotion. And may that happen more and more by hearing these pastimes. Thank you for joining.